KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
A lot of artists wrestle with some kind of personal struggle, bad habits, unhealthy vices, or intense emotional experiences that seem to fuel their work. At some point, they have to decide, do I keep putting my health and quality of life at risk for the sake of my art? Throughout history, some artists have leaned on drugs or alcohol or found creative energy in psychological extremes or turbulent relationships. Think Van Gogh's absinthe, Fitzgerald's alcoholism, and Frida Kahlo's tumultuous romance with Diego Rivera. For San Diego painter Mary Jhun, it was bad sleep.
When I had my first sleepover with my friends, my best friend had once told me that I snore like a baby pig. And I was like, oh, that's cute.
But of course, Mary couldn't hear herself while she slept. While her friends marveled at her bizarre snorting, she was off in a totally different world.
I've always been an avid dreamer where it's like, I know I'm going to have a good dream tonight. Every night, it always felt like that. It's literally like walking into a movie you have no idea about every night. And hence my paintings, hence being a surrealist.
For about 20 years, Mary has painted the same signature characters. She calls them the girls. She sees them in her dreams at night and paints them when she wakes up.
I once wrote, the girls are it. I'm just the hands. And so I feel like that idea has always been so much bigger than, me. Mm-hmm. And so in those dreams, sometimes I'll see them, as mountains. They're huge. They're huge, huge. And then I'm just me in the dream walking. So I'm sometimes I'm them, sometimes I'm not.
But back in the real world, there was still that persistent snoring.
In recent years, my boyfriend had been telling me, hey, you should probably, check that out. Because, it's starting to sound different like a baby pig. Mm-hmm. And so the moment that I got it checked and was pretty much diagnosed sleep apnea and all that stuff, they had me wear a mask which is called a CPAP. And the moment I received the CPAP, a month in, I lost all of my dreams. I stopped dreaming and I didn't know why. And that week, the first week where I couldn't dream, I was crying every night. And I would nudge my boyfriend and be like, I don't know what's going on. It's I feel like I'm going into a black abyss.
Mary's whole life has been dedicated to art and to her dreams. She's used both together to help her understand herself and to navigate a series of life-upending challenges and to learn to let go. But what happens when the thing that fuels your art disappears?
I don't know. It just felt weird because I had things taken from me, growing up, whether it was a physical thing or just biology. And so that was another thing I just felt very emotional about, where I was like, okay, you already took parts of my life away, world, the universe. Please don't take my dreams away just because I want to rest. And that's such a weird relationship, In wanting to have sort of a better relationship to sleep health, I was losing the thing that gave me my paintings.
This is the story of how Mary Jhun lost her dreams, how she traded in her artistic muse hoping for health, and how she found a way to have both. From KPBS Public Media, this is The Finest, a podcast about the people, art, and movements redefining culture in San Diego. I'm Julia Dixon Evans.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
Mary lives on the edge of a green canyon in Serra Mesa. In her backyard, nestled among the foliage and birds, is a little makeshift studio she built herself, her painting cabin. It's dreamlike in its own way, the perfect place for her to work.
Hello. Oh, yay. Welcome.
My producer Anthony and I visited on an idyllic early spring afternoon.
Let's see. I feel like the temperature is about 65. Surrounded by tropical plants and fruit plants. My friends have been calling me Snow White lately because since the cabin has so many windows, I can see all of the natural elements. And it's just all like squirrels, lizards, hanging out.
And mixing with the sounds of birds was Mary's go-to painting playlist.
It's actually on Cafe Ghibli right now, or is it Ghibli or Ghibli? But it's bossa nova style.
I'm so glad you guys got to see it. Not many people see this room. Dude, it's beautiful. Like, so many windows, the air flows here. It's literally the perfect cabin. So it's a painting cabin. It kind of resembles the Kiki's Delivery Service Painter in the Forest. A Studio Ghibli film.
Oh, okay.
And there was like a painter in the forest where it's just nature around her, just a cabin full of art supplies. I think that's why I wanted the cabin, you know.
The walls and tables in the little cabin are covered in her paintings. Canvases are stacked in corners and on easels. Piles of books and jars stuffed with paintbrushes and other supplies are organized on shelves and the windowsills. In March, Mary opened an exhibit at the Oceanside Museum of Art called In Losing Sleep, I Painted. When we visited, she was putting the finishing touches on the pieces. All of them feature her girls, simple figures in profile, sprouting and bursting in all directions with machinery, plants, and splotches of color.
So most of the paintings are split in planes, in different planes. So it's diptychs, triptychs, and I wanted to show the cut rhythm of my sleep through the actual physical cutting of the piece. But that was what started the idea of really fully manifesting the feeling of getting ripped away from something that is so precious and giving it to something that has a different hold on me, which was the mask.
Sleep apnea is a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts, causing snoring and other health issues. A CPAP machine is used to treat sleep apnea by pushing air into your nose and mouth to keep your airway open. Mary's CPAP machine is the literal mechanical manifestation of that choice between muse and health. The mask and medical tubing appear throughout these paintings. It's elegant and invasive to the girls and their vivid, dreamlike worlds. In one painting, one of the girls looks like she's gasping for breath. In another, a machine shoots blue air into her mouth. One painting, though, is devoid of color. The background looks blank.
Is she like kind of sparse and like in that one? Because she's like drained of like personality from Lack of Dreams? Okay.
That was actually the first piece, so that was like one of the first ones where visually I'm like, I know exactly this feeling. It's so raw. I need to document this. Like I feel cut off from my access of this idea of visual piece.
And it's like blank in the background as opposed to being kind of filled in with like a rich dreamlike landscape.
Yeah. Just this airy
Art
space.
Interpretation. Anthony, good job. A+.
I know, dude. Anthony, you're killing it.
Oh my gosh.
Mary's not just obsessed with the aesthetics of her dreams, she's incredibly well-read on the psychology of human dreaming and has done a ton of research, surrounding herself with literature that fed her fascination with dreams.
When I was 18, I came across the Surrealist Manifesto, And that was kind of the key opener for me for feeling good about the thing that I do every night, which is dream. Like I knew I liked dreams, but I didn't really find the importance of the human experience in the depths of dreams until I picked up that book. And so when I read that, and also being interested in psychology and Freud and Carl Jung, I was able to find the importance of those dreams more so now. And so dreams have always been so inspiring for me to become a surrealist, only because I felt like my day-to-day was answered when I slept and had those kind of revelations. And it's like a storybook, I think, because I'm able to reflect on, oh yeah, why did I dream that? Or how did that make me feel? Or, oh man, I didn't realize I was thinking about that yesterday until I had that dream. So it answered so many things for me, so. Because I always think, if I'm at a sleep state and I'm not fully controlling my dreams and my brain is just firing off, I always think that my dream is like telling me what I need in a kind way. Like it's like tough love in the form of dreams. And so whether that is, I feel bad about something I did and it's taking a hold as this very beautiful, chaotic, Dune-like dream where, you're in the sands by yourself and, it's because you have to apologize or something.
With decades of practice, Mary has some pretty wild descriptions of her dreams. In theory, we all have these intricate movies playing in our heads every night. Mary is just really good at paying attention to and remembering them.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a ghost and I'm watching things happen a lot of the times too. Yeah, I just remember that sort of tangible feeling of those dreams. And that's kind of the most important part for me is the sound, the colors of the dreams, not necessarily the full objects. Because a lot of times mid-dream it alters, like something looks so jagged and then I'll turn around as the dreamer and all of a sudden everything is like rounded, It's just, it keeps changing. And it's just so fun.
So Mary's dreams have been a key window into her subconscious, and her art has been her way of recording and understanding them. It's always been her and the girls, bouncing back and forth between dreams and art like a surreal feedback loop. They've helped her persist through every major challenge in her life. One of her most powerful and therapeutic series used a medium you might not normally see in fine art.
I had a whole series of doing Etch-a-Sketches. I have one right now. I don't know if you guys want to see it, but I mean, I would have to make it, but.
So you're kind of a pro at Etch-a-Sketch?
Yes.
She pulled out an old Etch-a-Sketch and immediately began creating a stunningly detailed rendition of the girls, all while telling us how she got so into the classic art toy. This blew me away to witness.
How old was I? I was like 26. I had just lost my friend. It was a studio mate of mine from Barrio. And I didn't know how to cope with it at the time. And 2 months later, I ran into an Etch-a-Sketch at Games of Berkeley, up in Berkeley, California. It was my first time really working with an Etch-a-Sketch. And what it did for me was so weird, where I didn't realize I was just practicing letting go of my own art in that form. And I think subconsciously it was taking away a lot of my pain because I was just able to create these girls on the fly and then let them go, create them, let them go. And it was just a form of like emotional discipline and getting myself healed.
So about 4 years ago, I did a show called Nothing Lasts Forever. And it was based off showing the girls in 20 Etch-a-Sketches. And I wanted to introduce the idea of temporary through the thing that is also temporary, which is the Etch-a-Sketch design. I hung up Etch-a-Sketches on the wall, and I wanted to talk about the importance of practicing letting go. One of those topics was, grief and like aiding with
someone important dying or something getting taken away from you. And I felt strongly about showing that series where, okay, I'm going to make 20 and I'm going to do it all in 1 week and I'm going to present it and I have like a thesis about it. And yeah, it was a success. I actually sold 16 of them. And when I sold them, I made everybody sign something where if you drop it, that's it.
So people took home etch a sketches, like they just had to carefully.
Yes.
Do you have any idea of those 16 that you sold? If they're still
good. Yeah,
intact?
one is in Guam.
Okay.
It made it.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
In her mid-20s, Mary faced an unexpected major life challenge: premature menopause. On a biological level, menopause means that the ovaries no longer release eggs or produce sufficient estrogen. On an emotional level, for many women, the symptoms and implications go way beyond fertility.
So I found I couldn't have children. And so with those things happening in my life, I've been able to transfer the learning part of it to art, which is, I'm okay. I can let go of things and still be upright and still feel strong.
So she turned to the girls in her dreams and paintings. Just like how her girls recently took on elements of the CPAP machinery, when she was going through early menopause, they changed to reflect Mary's reckoning with her body.
Like when I think about how the design changed from this sort of organic, young, soft girl into when I found that out in my mid-20s, like I was looking at my work recently and I realized that was the big structure shift. It was when the girls started to break apart. And I was like thinking, well, I was strong before I found out, and I'm strong even with this thing happening to me. And if I can portray more of the physical idea of the feeling into the paintings of pain and being pulled apart and put back together, that will just reinforce the idea of strength for me. And so the girls during that time started to break apart. They started to take on a lot more tendrils, like kind of wrapping into itself. So it was just a metaphor of keeping yourself together while things were happening to you. And then all the things I was drawing was coming out of the girls to restructure herself. And so I think I've always wanted to put into perspective that the tools are actually in you to maintain what you want to become post-trauma.
Mary's work right now in this artistic era is inspired by the loss of her dreams, and it echoes what she went through in her 20s. Once again, her girls were breaking apart. Mary's identity as a painter is someone who creates surreal images based on or connected to her dreams. So when she lost that, what did it say about who she was?
It was like literally losing my tools. There was a night where I was like sitting in bed, I was crying, I was telling my boyfriend like, oh no, oh my gosh. Since that was the first time it was fully taken away from me, I realized at that moment how important it was. It was literally like taking paper away or taking all the utensils away. There would be times where I'd be so frustrated, but then I knew that I would feel the effects of not having that mask on and not getting that aid. So it's a little bit of like, well, what is the drug? Is it the finally getting air in my lungs, or is it the dreams? And so it was that weird
toxic relationship of things that are both healthy. What do we choose? Do we choose the thing that kind of ignites our creativity or our health? And I feel like a lot of artists go through that all the time, no matter what the topic is.
Mary resisted wearing the CPAP mask. She wasn't willing to give up her dreams. But without the mask, Mary's sleep would suffer and she'd feel tired. She needed both her health and her art. So she found a way to bring the dreams back. Mary had already spent years learning how to manipulate her dreams, hacking them with a series of little tricks to make them more vivid and easier to recall.
I used to joke that I have a snack stash next to my bed, and it's not because I love snack. Obviously, I love snacking, but it's because, man, it always gave me crazy dreams. Like, even if, like, just, like, a couple of nuts or something, or a spoonful of peanut butter, or even just, like, one handful.
Just one spoonful of peanut butter.
Yeah, dude, it does so much.
I'm going to try that.
It's so interesting. Or just, like, healthy fats. Like, something is triggered, like, when you're going to sleep, when you just ate something it's trying to process. It's like, whoa.
This kind of dream hacking was eventually the thing that allowed her to regain her dreams.
So the mask still does give me issues, but I know I need to use it, so I do use it. But I've been able to dream, and I think it's because I just begged for it. I don't know. And so my goal was that anytime I dreamed, I was obsessing about it because I was like, oh, I got one. Like, okay, what do I remember? So every time I wake up now, anytime I have a dream, I would just, like, keep my eyes closed, try to find my phone, and then, like, literally still squinting, put voice memo, and I'll just start talking. And so that I can kind of still be submersed, or, like, in the space, in the dark, and remembering all the little things that I could remember. Or I would literally take notes, and then, like, I'll just squint like this, and I'm like, okay, there was a rat here, there was this, there was that.
Mary's actually tapping into a rich history of dream-enhancing techniques among surrealist artists. Salvador Dali famously used a spoon. He'd hold it in his hand, and the moment he started to drift off, he'd drop it, waking himself up just in time to record his dream. Recently, researchers studied this barely asleep dream state. Participants were asked to solve a math problem, then some were allowed to drift off while holding a cup. And as they entered a light sleep, they would drop it, just like Dali. Those who reached that in-between dream state and remembered it were far more likely to experience an epiphany and solve the math problem. Many studies confirm that dreams are a special space for creativity and breakthroughs. Mary's story proves we can harness them if we practice observing them, or even go to great lengths, as she says, to stay submerged in the dream and record what we see.
So now, like, I have this understanding that sometimes the mask doesn't allow me to dream, but when it does, it's big. And so I'm back to dreaming kind of on an every other day thing. It's not every day still, but it's getting back there. So, and I think what helped is venting about it, because my brain is just completely charged with all these paintings that's what I'm seeing before I fall asleep.
When you say venting and you're gesturing towards your painting, do you mean like creating art?
Yes.
In a way of venting? Is that what you mean?
I'm creating the images that I can kind of implant in my head. So it's almost like I used to think, am I painting out of my dreams, or do I need my dreams to make the paintings, or is it now vice versa? I just need to express in the open, aware brain of mine and say it out loud through my work, and then therefore I can dream about that. So it's like, it was kind of a funny what comes first, chicken or the egg thing. But now it's been that relationship for me where the more I paint, the more I'm seeing what I'm doing through my dreams. Yeah.
Now, the dreams and her girls are on their way back. They've ushered Mary through crisis, and in that way, they represent survival to her, a sort of living through it.
So that was my goal, was to literally to cope with my life in seeing what the girls were in a version of a friend, or I don't even want to say a stronger version of myself, but it was more so like if I can see her in this type of beautiful artistic mess, it gave me sort of like gas to like, oh, I could do that too. Like, hence like the somewhat warrior looking headdresses. It kind of showed that the girls were really strong in how they thought and how much they can carry. And that was always the point of the girls. They used to be called the weight of memories. And it was a personal challenge to be able to carry all of my traumas and still be able to walk. And so it was just that metaphor of the strength in a human is like how much you can carry and still walk.
A special thanks to Mary Jhun for her help with this episode. You can find a transcript and check out some of Mary's art at our website, kpbs.org/thefinest. Her exhibit will be up at the Oceanside Museum of Art through June 15th. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, leave a rating, and share it with your friends. Next Thursday on The Finest, San Diego's last Alt Weekly has ended its print run after 52 years. What happens when a city loses its alternative press?
The value of an alt weekly to a community is I think, uncontestable. It's just wonderful. They were conversational. They had a point of view because they knew they had to be different.
The Finest is a production of KPBS Public Media. I'm your host, Julia Dixon Evans. Our producer is Anthony Wallace, who also composed the score. Our audio engineer is Ben Redlosk, and our editor is Chrissy Wynn.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.